When Formula One enters a new regulation cycle, fans instinctively search for one thing: speed, lap times, sector comparisons, who looks quickest. But in moments like this, the most valuable signals rarely come from the stopwatch. They come from the people who understand the machinery best. That's why Max Verstappen's comments after the Barcelona shakedown deserve far more attention than the timing sheets. Not because he promised dominance. In fact, he did the opposite. Verstappen described the RB22's debut in calm, measured terms. He spoke positively about reliability, mileage, and the smooth introduction of Red Bull's new Ford-backed power unit. But he was careful to frame everything as a starting point, not a conclusion. This wasn't false modesty. It was a deliberate reset of expectations. In early testing, optimism can be dangerous. Cars that look fast on day one often fade once development directions diverge. Verstappen understands that better than most. He's been through multiple regulation resets and knows that early confidence often masks deeper issues. What stood out was his willingness to accept uncertainty. Rather than dismissing Mercedes' strong showing, Verstappen acknowledged it. He didn't downplay their mileage or their apparent stability. Instead, he positioned Red Bull as a team still learning, still building understanding rather than chasing headlines. That mindset is significant because Red Bull has historically been most dangerous when it appears to be chasing, not leading. The RB22 is not just a new chassis. It represents Red Bull's first full season with a power unit developed in-house, in partnership with Ford. That alone introduces layers of complexity no customer team has to face. So Barcelona was never about proving speed, it was about validating fundamentals. Verstappen's optimism wasn't tied to current pace, it was tied to future potential. How much scope the RB22 offers once the team understands its new hybrid system properly. His tone was controlled, humble, and unmistakably strategic, which raises the central question already forming in the paddock. Is Red Bull genuinely behind? Or are they deliberately hiding behind an underdog narrative while laying the groundwork for something more familiar? Because what happened next in Barcelona quietly revealed exactly how Red Bull approached this new era. On the surface, Red Bull's Barcelona program looked uneventful. No dramatic lap records, no bold statements, no visible experimentation, and that was entirely intentional. The 5-day private shakedown was never designed to produce definitive answers. Each of the 11 teams was limited to just 3 days of running, with strict mileage and program constraints. The focus across the grid was validation, systems checks, correlation, and early reliability. If you're enjoying these deep Formula One breakdowns, make sure you subscribe to the channel. These videos take serious analysis, and subscribing means you never miss the big technical stories. For Red Bull, the objectives were especially narrow. The RB22 marked the competitive debut of Red Bull Powertrains, developed internally with Ford support. This wasn't just a new engine. It was a philosophical shift for the team, moving from customer status to full manufacturer responsibility. Verstappen was clearly aware of that significance. He described the moment as emotionally charged, noting how many people in the garage had worked years to reach this point. Seeing the power unit run reliably from day one mattered more than any performance headline. Practically, the week didn't unfold perfectly. Red Bull split early running with its new teammate, limiting Verstappen's initial mileage. Mixed weather conditions further reduced meaningful data on Tuesday. Then came the interruption, an incident that ended the team's program prematurely. That context makes Friday's running critical. Verstappen completed 118 laps on the final day alone. That wasn't about pace, it was about learning. Long runs, repeated procedures, and systematic data gathering. Verstappen repeatedly emphasized the same point. Laps were the priority. "We learned a lot," he explained. "There's still a lot to look into, but it's a good start." The phrase returned again and again. The engine is still a work in progress. That statement wasn't a concern. It was an acknowledgement of reality. The 2026 regulations combine major power unit changes with a new chassis formula, increasing complexity across the board. No team escapes that challenge, and the contrast between Red Bull's approach and Mercedes' performance only made Verstappen's calm response more revealing. If any team left Barcelona looking visibly prepared, it was Mercedes. They completed more laps than anyone. Andrea Kimi Antonelli even ran a full race simulation, a rare sight this early in a new era. George Russell set one of the fastest times of the test and described the car as stable, predictable, and free of major issues. From the outside, it looked like a statement, and Verstappen didn't argue with it. He didn't attempt to reframe the narrative. He didn't dismiss Mercedes' mileage or suggest they were hiding performance. Instead, he calmly accepted that they may be ahead at this stage. That reaction says a lot. Verstappen understands that early readiness doesn't always translate into long-term advantage. Teams that peak too early often limit their development ceiling. Teams that learn fastest after establishing a baseline tend to surge later. Red Bull's situation is unique because they are still learning how their own power unit behaves in real-world conditions. Unlike established established manufacturers, Red Bull Powertrains is experiencing its first full feedback loop between track data and engine development. Despite that, reliability signals were quietly encouraging. Across Red Bull and Racing Bulls, over 600 laps were completed using the new power unit. For a debut under such radical rules, that level of mileage without major failures is no small achievement. Verstappen acknowledged this indirectly. Uninterrupted running was one of the primary boxes the team needed to tick, and it largely did. What also became clear was Verstappen's deeper involvement behind the scenes. Reports highlighted his simulator work and sensitivity to energy deployment, helping engineers understand how the new hybrid system behaves under different conditions. In a regulation set where electrical management defines performance, that feedback loop is invaluable, and Verstappen's mindset in 2026 is shaped heavily by what happened the year before. Verstappen enters 2026 after a rare experience, a season without dominance. In 2025, Red Bull spent much of the year chasing performance rather than controlling it. Verstappen ultimately missed the title by just 2 points, fighting from behind more often than he'd grown accustomed to. And interestingly, he didn't hate it. He admitted there were aspects he enjoyed. Less hostility from fans, fewer expectations, and a different competitive dynamic. More importantly, he insisted it didn't change his approach. "I didn't change," he said. "I'm still fully focused." That consistency matters now. Verstappen isn't looking for reassurance from early tests. He isn't chasing validation from lap times. He's comfortable with uncertainty because he understands where championships are actually decided. Red Bull appears content to let others carry early expectations while it focuses on refinement. Team leadership has emphasized reliability and data quality over aggressive performance pushes. Certain RB22 concepts may look extreme, but only once the baseline is fully understood will those boundaries be tested. It's a familiar Red Bull pattern. Establish the foundation, understand the limits, then accelerate development brutally. Barcelona wasn't a verdict, it was a snapshot of intent, which brings us to the question every rival is quietly asking. When Verstappen talks about understanding first and performance later, he's not speaking abstractly. He's describing Red Bull's entire development philosophy. The RB22 isn't designed to impress immediately. It's designed to evolve. Under the 2026 rules, misjudging fundamentals can derail entire seasons. Power unit integration, energy deployment strategies, and thermal behavior must be correct before aerodynamic performance even matters. Red Bull seems acutely aware of that risk. By avoiding performance theater early, they protect development flexibility, they leave room to adapt, and they reduce the chance of being locked into flawed assumptions. This approach also aligns perfectly with Verstappen's strengths. His feedback isn't emotional or reactive, it's methodical. He describes behavior, not feelings. That allows engineers to make clean decisions rather than chasing driver impressions. If Red Bull unlocks performance quickly, once understanding matures, the early narrative will flip overnight, and that leads to the final, uncomfortable thought hanging over the paddock. Barcelona did not show a Red Bull in trouble, nor did it show a Red Bull in control. It showed a team deliberately pacing itself, guided by a driver who understands exactly where the real battles will be fought in this new era. Verstappen's optimism is grounded. His humility feels strategic. And his confidence is implied, not declared. With further testing in Bahrain still to come, Red Bull has time to expand its understanding before the season opens in Australia. Verstappen has been clear about the objective. Keep working, keep learning, keep building. In a regulation cycle defined by complexity, restraint may be the smartest move of all. So the question remains, is Red Bull genuinely playing catch-up? Or is this simply the quiet phase before a familiar surge? Once understanding turns into execution. And if you were in Verstappen's position, would you rather lead early and defend, or follow quietly and strike when it truly matters? Now, if you want the full breakdown of Ferrari's bold 2026 design direction, check out Ferrari's aggressive SF26, everything you need to know. In that video, we analyze the front wing philosophy, side pod concept, floor details, and why Ferrari's approach is far more aggressive than it first appears. This video explains the context. That one shows the details that could decide races. Trust me, you'll see the SF26 very differently after watching it.